All right, let's dive into something pretty fascinating, your sacral chakra. We're going to explore how to tap into its energy for more creativity and joy and even stronger relationships.
I think you'd be surprised by how much this energy center influences our lives, from how we experience pleasure to how we handle our emotions.
And our guide for this exploration is Lestallion's 50 Sacral Chakra Journal Prompts. Now, 50 prompts is a lot. It's practically begging for a deep dive. What really struck me is the variety. We're talking creativity, emotions, relationships, and even how we embrace pleasure.
What's interesting about these prompts is that they encourage deep introspection, not just surface-level answers. And that's key to unlocking the sacral chakra's potential.
Okay, so let's jump right in. One of the prompts that really grabbed my attention asks us to reflect on a time when we felt most creatively alive. What were we doing and how did it make us feel? I immediately thought about those summer days as a kid, spending hours building elaborate sandcastles on the beach. Complete absorption, pure joy. Do you have any similar memories?
That's a perfect example, that feeling of complete absorption, of losing yourself in the moment. That's the energy of the sacral chakra flowing freely. It's not just about being artistic, it's about tapping into that creative energy that resides in all of us.
It makes you wonder, though, if that's how it's supposed to feel. Why do so many of us struggle with creative blocks? I mean, I love to write, but sometimes I stare at a blank page for hours.
Well, there's another prompt that speaks directly to that. What holds you back from embracing your creative energy? It challenges us to examine those internal barriers: fear of judgment, perfectionism, self-doubt, the things that often stifle our creative spirit.
It's so easy to get caught up in those negative thought patterns. But the more I think about it, the more I see a connection between creativity and emotional well-being. If you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, it's hard to tap into that creative flow.
Absolutely, that connection's fundamental. Remember, the sacral chakra is located in the lower abdomen, closely tied to our emotional center. It's no coincidence that when we're emotionally drained, our creative energy also takes a hit.
So it's not just about brainstorming ideas or techniques, it's about addressing the emotional landscape as well. There's a prompt that really resonated with me. How do you handle negative emotions like anger or sadness? How do they affect your energy and what helps you release them? It's a good reminder that we all experience these emotions, and it's about finding healthy ways to process them.
That's where journaling comes in. It helps us become more aware of our emotional patterns. By putting our feelings into words, we can gain a better understanding of them, develop self-compassion, and ultimately find healthier ways to cope.
There's another prompt that takes this even further. How do emotions impact your physical body? That's something I've definitely experienced. Stress can manifest as tension headaches or stomach issues.
Exactly. It's a crucial reminder that we are not separate entities of mind and body. When we neglect our emotional well-being, it can have tangible physical consequences. Conversely, when we prioritize emotional health through practices like journaling, it can positively impact our physical well-being.
It's about cultivating that mind-body connection and understanding that true wellness encompasses both. Which leads us to another important theme, relationships. I know from personal experience that when my sacral chakra feels out of balance, my relationships suffer too.
That's not surprising. Remember, the sacral chakra influences not just our emotions, but also our ability to connect with others authentically. There's a prompt that highlights this perfectly. How do you communicate your needs and desires in relationships?
That's a tough one for many people. It's easy to fall into patterns of people-pleasing or suppressing our needs, especially in relationships we value.
And yet, a balanced sacral chakra empowers us to communicate more openly, to set healthy boundaries, and to build stronger, more fulfilling connections. It's about honoring both our own needs and those of the people we care about.
I think one of the most powerful aspects of healing the sacral chakra is forgiveness. There's a prompt that asks us to reflect on a moment when we forgave someone and how it felt to release that resentment.
That prompt really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Forgiveness, both of ourselves and others, is essential for releasing emotional baggage and creating space for healing. It's not about condoning harmful actions. It's about freeing ourselves from the weight of resentment.
It's definitely not easy, but I think deep down we all crave that sense of release. It's about understanding that holding on to anger hurts us more than it hurts anyone else.
It creates energetic blockages that can hinder our ability to connect with others and experience joy. When we forgive, we're not just letting go of the past. We're making space for new possibilities and healthier relationships.
This brings up an important point. Healthy relationships start with a healthy relationship with ourselves. If we haven't addressed our own emotional baggage, It's hard to show up authentically for others.
Exactly. Self-love is the foundation. You can't pour from an empty cup, as they say. And a balanced sacral chakra helps us fill our own cup first, so we have more to give to others.
All right, now for the fun part. Embracing pleasure. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want more joy and pleasure in their life?
I think the sacral chakra reminds us that pleasure is not frivolous. It's a vital part of a balanced life. And these prompts encourage us to truly explore what brings us joy.
There's one that asks, do you allow yourself to fully enjoy life's pleasures? How can you embrace guilt-free enjoyment more often? I think that's something many people, myself included, struggle with. We're so conditioned to believe that we have to earn our enjoyment, that we should always be striving for something more.
It's a common trap in our achievement-oriented society, but the truth is joy and pleasure are our birthright. The sacral chakra encourages us to tap into that natural state of being, to experience life's simple pleasures without guilt or reservation.
Speaking of simple pleasures, one of the prompts asks us to write about a recent sensory experience that brought us joy. The smell of freshly baked bread, the feeling of warm sunshine on our skin, the sound of laughter.
It's about being fully present in those moments, engaging all of our senses and cultivating a deep appreciation for the beauty that surrounds us. It's about recognizing that joy can be found in the everyday if we choose to see it.
And that's where mindful enjoyment comes in.
Right.
It's not just about seeking out big, exciting events. It's about savoring those small moments, those tiny details that make life so rich and beautiful.
Exactly. And that's something we can cultivate through practice. One of the prompts asks how we can incorporate more mindful enjoyment into our lives. It could be as simple as paying attention to the taste of each bite of food, noticing the way the sunlight filters through the leaves, or truly listening to the words of a loved one.
That's such a great reminder. We can easily get caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life and miss out on those simple pleasures that bring so much joy.
And that's where the sacral chakra can guide us. It's about reconnecting with our senses, with our bodies, and with the present moment.
All right, so we've explored creativity, emotions, relationships, and pleasure. What else is there?
Well, there's one more crucial theme we need to dive into, the concept of releasing and renewing.
Intriguing. Tell me more about this releasing and renewing.
It's about recognizing that sometimes in order to move forward, we need to let go of things that are no longer serving us. Old patterns, limiting beliefs, past hurts, even just clutter in our physical space.
There's a prompt that really speaks to that. Write about a fear or insecurity that you're ready to release. How has it held you back from fully expressing yourself? We all have those inner critics that can hold us back from living authentically.
Exactly. And this prompt encourages us to shine a light on those fears, to examine them, and to start to challenge their validity. Often when we bring those fears into the light of awareness, they lose their power over us. It's like we're finally giving ourselves permission to step out of the shadows and into the light. And that act of releasing can be incredibly liberating for the sacral chakra.
It's like we're creating space for something new to emerge, something more aligned with who we truly are. There's another prompt that digs deeper into this. What emotional baggage are you carrying? How can you let go of what no longer serves you?
This one can be a bit more challenging, but so worthwhile. It's about taking a deep, honest look at those ingrained patterns, beliefs, or even past experiences that might be weighing us down.
It makes me think about how we sometimes cling to old stories about ourselves, even when they're no longer true. We get so used to identifying with certain roles or labels that we forget we have the power to rewrite the narrative.
That's such a powerful insight. We do have that power, and the sacral chakra is all about embracing our power, to create, to transform, and to choose a different path.
And that's where forgiveness comes in again, right? There's a prompt that asks, what would it mean to forgive yourself or others fully? It seems like forgiveness is an essential part of this releasing and renewing process.
Absolutely. Forgiveness is a powerful act of self-love and liberation. It's about releasing the grip of resentment, anger, or guilt that can keep us stuck in the past. It's not about condoning harmful actions, but about freeing ourselves from the energetic burden that we've been carrying.
You know, it's interesting because I used to think forgiveness was about letting the other person off the hook. But now I see it as a gift. We give to ourselves. It allows us to move on and create a more peaceful and joyful present.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And that sense of peace and joy is a hallmark of a balanced sacral chakra. When we're holding on to resentment, it creates blockages in our energy flow. But when we forgive, we clear the way for those energies to flow freely again.
I'm curious about the practical side of this releasing and renewing. Are there specific things we can do to support this process? I remember a prompt asking about rituals or practices. to recharge our sacral chakra energy?
That's a great question, and it speaks to the fact that working with the chakras isn't just about introspection, but about taking action in our lives. Those rituals or practices can be incredibly powerful tools for self-care and rebalancing.
It makes me think about those simple things that bring me joy. Taking a long bath with essential oils, dancing to my favorite music, spending time in nature. Could those be considered rituals?
Absolutely. Anything that helps you reconnect with your body, your senses, and your creative energy can be a ritual. It's about finding what resonates with you and making it a regular part of your routine.
I love that idea. It takes away the pressure of having to follow some strict protocol and allows us to create rituals that are truly personalized
Yeah.
and meaningful.
Exactly. It's about finding what nourishes your soul and replenishes your energy reserves. And the more we incorporate these practices into our lives, the more we support the natural flow and balance of our sacral chakra.
I remember another prompt that stood out. Write about the limiting beliefs you've outgrown. What can you do to affirm your strength and resilience?
Hmm.
I think it's so easy to get stuck in those negative thought patterns that hold us back.
It's true, those limiting beliefs can be incredibly powerful, especially if we've been carrying them around for years. But this prompt reminds us that we're not defined by those beliefs. We have the power to challenge them, to rewrite the script, and to choose a more empowering narrative.
I've noticed that for me, those limiting beliefs often stem from a fear of failure or a fear of not being good enough. It can be paralyzing at times.
That's a common experience. But the sacral chakra reminds us that we are inherently worthy, creative, and capable of amazing things. It's about reclaiming our power and believing in ourselves, even when it feels difficult.
So how do we actually go about challenging those limiting beliefs? I remember a prompt about using affirmations, but I'll admit I've always been a bit skeptical of those.
I understand your skepticism, but affirmations can be surprisingly powerful. It's about consciously choosing to focus on positive statements that align with the truth of who we are. By repeating these affirmations regularly, we start to reprogram our subconscious minds and shift our energy towards greater self-acceptance and empowerment.
That makes sense. It's like we're planting seeds of positive thought and allowing them to take root in our minds and hearts.
Exactly. And the more we water those seeds with positive affirmations and self-compassion, the more likely they are to blossom into a more confident and empowered version of ourselves.
I love that analogy. And it ties into another prompt that really resonated with me. How can you make yourself feel loved and appreciated without relying on others? I think it's so important to cultivate self-love and self-validation.
It's essential. The sacral chakra teaches us that true fulfillment comes from within. It's not about seeking validation from external sources. It's about recognizing our own worth and celebrating our own unique gifts and talents.
It's about being our own biggest cheerleader.
Exactly. It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness, compassion, and generosity that we would extend to a dear friend. It's about acknowledging our efforts, celebrating our achievements, and forgiving ourselves for our mistakes.
It sounds like self-love is the key to unlocking the full potential of the sacral chakra.
It's a crucial piece of the puzzle. When we love and accept ourselves fully, it becomes easier to connect with others, to express ourselves authentically, and to embrace all the joy and pleasure that life has to offer.
One of the prompts asks us to visualize our future selves with a balanced sacral chakra and to think about what advice they would give us. That's such a powerful exercise.
It is. It allows us to tap into our own inner wisdom and to connect with the version of ourselves who is already living in alignment with our values, our purpose, and our passions.
It's like having a mentor within ourselves, guiding us towards our best lives.
Exactly. And that future self, with a balanced sacral chakra, would likely remind us to be patient with ourselves, to celebrate our progress, and to trust in the unfolding of our journey.
That's such a beautiful reminder. It takes the pressure off of having to achieve some perfect state of balance overnight and allows us to embrace the process with self-compassion and curiosity.
And remember, the journey of healing and balancing our chakras is ongoing. There will be ups and downs, moments of flow, and moments of blockage. The key is to keep showing up for ourselves, to keep exploring, and to keep trusting in our own inner wisdom.
This exploration of the sacral chakra has been so insightful and inspiring. It's amazing how much wisdom and guidance can be found within these simple journal prompts.
I agree. These prompts offer a powerful tool for self-discovery and transformation. They invite us to explore the depths of our being, to connect with our creative energy, and to embrace a life filled with joy, authenticity, and deep fulfillment.
And as we move towards the final part of our deep dive, I'm excited to explore one more aspect of the sacral chakra that's particularly intriguing, the connection to personal power.
I'm looking forward to unpacking that with you as well. It's a fascinating aspect that often gets overlooked.
So we've explored so much about the sacral chakra, from sparking creativity to nurturing relationships and even embracing pleasure. Now, I'm curious to dive into this idea of personal power you mentioned.
Yeah, it's an aspect of the sacral chakra that often gets overshadowed, but it's incredibly important. When we talk about personal power, we're talking about self-worth, setting boundaries, and living authentically. It's about recognizing and honoring our needs and desires, not just in romantic relationships, but in all areas of our lives.
One of the prompts asked us to reflect on a time when we felt most powerful.
Mm.
It's interesting because I think many people might immediately think of external achievements. But this feels different. It's about recognizing that inner strength, right?
Exactly. It's not about dominating others or achieving some societal standard of success. It's about connecting with that core sense of self-assurance that comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for.
There's a prompt that asks, what qualities did you embody in that moment of feeling powerful?
Mhm.
I think that's such a valuable question because it encourages us to identify those strengths and resources
Mm.
that we can tap into whenever we need a boost of confidence.
And those qualities are unique to each individual. For some, it might be courage or resilience. For others, it might be creativity or compassion. The key is to recognize what empowers you personally and to cultivate those qualities.
This reminds me of another prompt. Write about a time when you overcame a challenge you didn't think you could handle. What did you learn about yourself in the process? Yeah. We all have those experiences where we surprise ourselves with our own strength and resilience.
Those experiences can be incredibly empowering because they teach us that we're capable of far more than we often believe. They help us build that inner reservoir of strength that we can draw upon when faced with new challenges.
It's interesting how this idea of personal power connects to the sacral chakra's role in healthy boundaries. I know for me, when I'm feeling depleted or out of balance, it's harder to assert myself and say no when needed.
That's a common experience. When our sacral chakra energy is depleted, we're more likely to give our power away to others, to people pleasers, or to stay in situations that don't serve us.
And I remember a prompt that directly addresses this. What boundaries do you need to set in your life to protect your energy and well-being? That's a tough one, but so necessary.
It's crucial. Healthy boundaries are essential for self-respect and for maintaining our energetic integrity. They're not about shutting people out, they're about creating clear guidelines for how we want to be treated and how we'll engage with the world.
I've realized that setting boundaries is an ongoing process. It's not a one-time thing. It requires us to be self-aware, to tune into our needs, and to be willing to communicate those needs assertively, even when it feels uncomfortable.
You're absolutely right. It's an act of self-love and a powerful way to reclaim our energy and focus on what truly matters to us.
And this ties into the sacral chakra's connection to authentic self-expression, right? I remember a prompt asking about the creative outlets we enjoy and how they help us express ourselves authentically.
That's a beautiful connection. When our sacral chakra is balanced, we feel more comfortable expressing ourselves creatively, whether it's through art, music, writing, dance, or even just through the way we dress or decorate our homes. It's about letting our unique light shine through.
And that self-expression doesn't have to be perfect or polished. It's more about the process of creating the act of bringing something from within us into the world.
Exactly. And it's through that process of self-expression that we often discover hidden depths within ourselves, new talents, and new ways of being in the world.
One of the final prompts asks, what steps can you take to live a more authentic and aligned life? It feels like this is the culmination of everything we've been exploring today.
It's a beautiful invitation to bring all of these insights together and to consciously choose a path that aligns with our values, our passions, and our deepest desires.
It's about living in integrity with who we truly are, rather than trying to mold ourselves to fit external expectations or societal pressures.
And that, in essence, is what the sacral chakra is all about, embracing our authenticity, our creativity, and our power to create a life that feels joyful, fulfilling, and deeply aligned with our soul's purpose.
This has been such a fascinating exploration of the sacral chakra. I feel like I've gained so much insight and inspiration from these prompts. It's really incredible how much we can learn about ourselves by simply asking the right questions.
I completely agree. And remember, these prompts are just the beginning. The true journey starts when you take these insights and apply them to your own life. Through journaling, self-reflection, and conscious action, you can unlock the incredible power of your sacral chakra and create a life that is truly aligned with your authentic self.
Until next time, may your sacral chakra be open, balanced, and radiant.